a painter was saying that inspiration is for amateurs. So it was pretty interesting. Showing up is the key. Matt Mayberry, he's a CEO and speaker. The reason why upsets happen in sports as well as business, the reasons people fail to become their best version of themselves is because people forget to show up every day. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. This first part of this presentation has an actual game plan on how you can make that happen. A tool that maybe if you take a note on this and maybe try it and see if this is something that will help you be cognizant and aware of showing up every day and what that looks like. Create a contract with yourself. It's real simple. You can get some paper out or go to your computer, and all you need to do is write a couple of paragraphs stating that you will show up and give what you're showing up for everything that you have. How you word it is up to you, but it's the act alone of actually crafting the contract with yourself that will have an incredible psychological effect. And once you craft the contract, you can laminate it, or you can put it where you can see it, maybe post it on a mirror or by your computer or someplace where you'll see it several times during the day. But it can make a huge difference in being accountable to ourselves. The real work in this process comes at the end of the day when you have to be 100% honest with yourself by looking at the contract and see if you lived up to the words that you wrote down. And I'm sure many of you would agree with me that the hardest person to be honest with is the one that looks you back from the mirror. So it's a great exercise to be able to do that. I did recommend this book by Rick Pitino. He is, for all of you Louisville fans out there, The 1-Day Contract, How to Add Value to Every Minute of Your Life. He was the head football or basketball coach at the University of Louisville, and that's where this concept came from. So I wanted to recommend that to everybody tonight as well. So once you get the idea of showing up, you pick one key area that you're going to get better at every single day. Not everything. If you're like me, sometimes it's so hard for me to focus on one thing. I feel like if I'm going to get better at my business, I've got to start working out, I've got to eat right, I've got to have my quiet time, and it just gets overwhelming because I'm trying to improve in every area of my life at one time, and it gets hard, it gets overwhelming. So this exercise just asks us to pick one key area that you want to get better at and work on that every single day. So you might think that you want to get better at making cold calls or improving your communication skills or maybe prospecting, but whatever you do, find one key area that you use for work and focus on getting better at that every day. And it's amazing what can happen a year from now if you pick just one thing to get better at. Over time, you're going to notice a drastic difference, not only in the results that you begin to see, but how you approach the day. And the reason why this practice works is because it's not overwhelming. You're, instead of trying to improve in 1,000 different areas, you're only focusing on one. And so when you are able to combine that with your hectic schedule and focus on the one thing, then you can actually see improvement over time. Many of you who have been around for a while might remember the book, The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. Still one of the best, in my opinion, personal development books that I've ever read. And it started with a concept that the daily decisions, the things that we do on a daily basis, compound over time. And so one of the examples in the book is that if I ate a Big Mac today, it's not going to hurt me. But if I ate a Big Mac every day for the next 60, 90, 120 days, it's going to impact my body. And so it's those seemingly insignificant decisions that we make on a daily basis that compound over time. And it's the same kind of concept that if we're going to work on one thing every day for over time, it's going to compound and we're going to be able to improve in that area. But it talks about us having to show up. So the success strategy, just show up, means showing up every single day of your life. And it's critical to the success of your business, your organization, and your individual success. So we're going to talk about what that looks like, and we're going to talk about the different places where we need to show up, because it's not just one place. We're going to start with showing up for yourself. And what I did is I went back to the 10 core commitments, because it's amazing how most of these haven't changed much over the 20 years I've been involved with Legal Shield. And several of them, the first, 5th, 9th, and 10th core commitment, all have components that have to do with showing up for yourself. So commit to personal development. We hear that all the time. Committing to write down your goals, review and work your to-do list, read 10 to 15 pages of a good book every single day, listen to inspirational or educational audios 15 minutes a day, find a workout partner and choose a mentor, and of course, double your business 1 year from now. In other words, show up. And once again, for those of you who have been around for a while, know that the 10th core commitment used to be here a year from now. And you know, for the years that I've been involved in this business, there were years where I wasn't all that involved. But the one thing I always committed to doing was being here a year from now. And it's what kept me in the game. So I showed up at those international conventions every year, even when I just would dabble throughout the months in between. And it's, you know, it kept me engaged, kept my head in the game, to where when I was ready to really start building this business, you know, everything had already been laid as far as groundwork. So it was really important for me to show up for myself. So that includes all the areas that, you know, we encompass. We're, you know, multifaceted people. So personal development, health and wellness, exercise, recreation, family time, friends, mental health time. You have to show up for yourself. And I love this quote, came from Paul Martinelli: hold company with yourself so sacred that even when you are alone, you are whole. And I love that. So the next thing we're going to talk about is showing up for your commitments. And this was pretty important to me. You can say no anytime you want, but if you say yes, then mean it, because then it's taking us to that next step of living a life of integrity and being congruent with ourselves. So next, we're going to talk about showing up for your team. Going back to the 10 core commitments, 2, 5, 6, and 7, they all have pieces that talk about the importance of showing up for your team. So listening to team calls, attending trainings and encouraging the team to attend, conducting game plan interviews with all the new associates, mapping out your goals for your associates, attending Super Saturdays and promoting them to your guests and associates. And it's so great now that we can do that online, and you can attend Super Saturdays all over the country, attending your team breakouts after the international conventions, and of course, attending your team summer blast, which most of you did last month, and it was so much fun. So that's showing up for your team. Now, Success Partners makes it really easy for us all to find out where we need to show up, because there's a calendar, and I'm sure most of you are aware of this, so I'm not going to go into it live, but I just want to make sure that you see it here. In case you're new, the calendar for Success Partners is successpartnerscalendar.com. You can go there and go on any day of the week, and everything has a pull-down menu where it'll give you all the details on how you can participate with that event. There's also documents. If you're on our stretch calls in the morning, you hear us talking often about tracking our activity. The forms that we use for that are on this calendar as well. And I just want to give a real quick shout out to Alice Englehart for all the hard work she does to keep this calendar up to date for all of us. Also, we have Zoom presentations as a team every day, Monday through Friday. Twice a day during the afternoon hours at 12:30 Eastern, there is a 15-minute Zoom where you can have a prospect join us to learn about the memberships. So it's membership, the Legal Shield, ID Shield, and member perks. And then every evening, you can tune in and have a guest there to learn about the memberships and the business opportunity. But showing up for those with or without a guest is showing up for your team. Also, Summer Blast, it was a great event, and I'm grateful that we had that chance to come together every year as a team. And then the Success Partners team Zooms, once again, that information is on the calendars, and you obviously found it because you're here tonight, but it's great to be able to remember to show that to new associates too, so they can get plugged in and know where they can get all the latest information about our team. Stretch calls, if it's something that you don't participate in, I'd like to encourage you. For years, I did not get up early in the Central Time Zone and participate in the stretch calls, but I kind of got shamed into it because I had a team who went to Summer Blast, and they came out of Summer Blast fired up, and they started participating in the stretch calls. And so I kind of felt like a schmuck if I didn't. So I started doing that. Now I love it. It's a part of my day. It's a great way to show up for the team, is being involved in those stretch calls and contributing to the calls. So it's a great opportunity for us. So we've talked about showing up for yourself, showing up for your commitments, showing up for your team. Now we're going to talk about the importance of showing up for your company. The company gives us lots of ways to stay connected through the corporate shows, listening to the corporate team calls, and reading the newsletters, and of course, following the Legal Shield social media channels. LegalShieldCalendar.com. It's a great tool for us to go to, and you can put in your state and find out all of the events that are happening, whether they're B2B, whether they're network, and whether they're Ladies of Justice or Legal Shield in Espanol. Whatever type of event you're looking for, you can go to this calendar and get all of the details. And so that's a corporate resource for us. And then showing up for your own business. Going back the 10 cores, number 1, 3, 4, and 8, all have components that deal with showing up for your business. So setting goals every day, reviewing your to-do list, the 2 exposures every day. It's been a mantra ever since I've been in this business, 2 exposures a day. Using third-party tools for approaches, and then building a long-distance team, which is easier now than ever, now that we can use social media. And I want to give a quick plug to Lynn Schuessler-William and the great workshop that she's holding. We're 2 weeks into that. So if you have hesitation or you're not as comfortable using social media, she will train you on how to be a superstar networker on social media. So it's still not too late to get into her class, but it's all part of showing up. Making the 52-week commitment to attend your local business briefing. Well, right now we're not really doing briefings, but we're doing Zooms. And so we talked about how we do that as a team. Attending the events after the events can still be held, retaining your members, following up on new members, and putting them in Prospect by Legal Shield and asking for referrals. So it's all things that you can show up to support your own business. Show up in your marketplace. There are so many ways that even with COVID and even with the restrictions that some of us are still experiencing, for you to show up in your marketplace. I know in Longview, Texas, our chamber has gone fully online. So they're still, showing ribbon cuttings and they're doing events, but there's other things that you can get involved with, like BNI and meetups. And when I was doing a search in some areas outside of the Northeast Texas area, I was shocked to see how many free meetups and online networking events are available. I was looking in Detroit just, for the sake of it, and I was going through there. There was hundreds of things that you can participate in for free and show up for your marketplace, which in turn will be showing up for your business. Showing up online, utilizing the social media, whichever platform you choose to use for your business, is going to be the way we're going to be doing business moving forward. It's been really interesting watching the dynamics change. And I had a conversation with my workout partner not too long ago, and I was explaining that being able to show up online has really revolutionized my business in many ways, because my income has actually grown, but my profit has increased because I no longer have any gas that I'm paying for. I'm not going out to eat. I'm not taking people to coffee. So all of the expenses that I used to take, as part of my business are no longer necessary for me to do business, because I've been able to show up online and grow my business that way. So that's been a great tool for me. And then we want to create a game plan for success. So it definitely starts with showing up, and you need to have a calendar. You need to find a way to create a system so you know what you're supposed to do, where you're supposed to be, how you're going to do it. And it starts with filling in the big rocks. I've heard Mr. Drennan talk about this many, many times. And then, so you start with that calendar, create the bones, and then you put the meat on the bones with the little pebbles. So put the big rocks in first. So if you've got a calendar or whatever resource you used to track your activity and track where you're supposed to be and when you're supposed to be there, whether it's a CRM or whatever it is you use, go ahead and for the rest of the year, we're in September now. So you've got 3 months for the rest of the year that you can, October, November, and December, go ahead and fill it in with everything that you know is coming up. We've got the leadership convention coming up in October. So that's a big rock. It should be on your calendar. The corporate trainings, go ahead and put the stretch calls in there in the morning if you're going to participate in those. These calls, the Sunday night team calls, networking events that you're already committed to. Every Wednesday, I know at lunch, I'm in my BNI chapter meeting. Anything else that you need to do as far as working out, your quiet time. If you need to schedule bookkeeping time or office time, I find that it's very helpful to get it on the calendar and then work that plan. Then once you get to the structure of your day and your week and your month in the calendar, then you can add the one-time events, things like appointments and follow-up, schedule time for to work in your pre-cancel reports, office time, one-to-one appointments, all the different things that are part of your business that might not be considered a big rock. but it's so helpful to put in your calendar, even time for prospecting and working on social media. In the beginning, when this all started happening with COVID, I was trying to schedule 1 hour a day just to prospect on LinkedIn. And it was much more likely that it would happen if it was on my calendar and I was able to work the plan. So I was learning to show up for myself in a new way. And then we show up. Showing up equals commitment. It's so important that we know to show up for ourselves. We talked about that. Showing up for the commitments that we make, for our team, for our company, and of course for our business. So then it comes down to creating the plan for showing up, using the calendar, starting with the big rocks, adding the smaller rocks, and then the commitment to actually show up. And then the most important thing throughout all of this is to walk with integrity and to develop the habit that whatever it is that we say we're going to do, follow through and do it. That's how we can make progress, and that's how showing up really matters, because if we make the commitment, especially to ourselves, to make sure that we follow through and do it and walk with integrity. So showing up, success begins with showing up, as our great founder, Mr. Drennan, has always said. And I hope that this training, being able to go through these slides, was able to, hopefully you were able to pick up something that you didn't catch the first time. But it's just really important that we remember who our commitment is to. It's to ourselves, to our families, to our business, to our partners, to our team. And it's just gonna, by keeping that in focus and showing up for those commitments, it's gonna help us go all to the next level in every area of our life. So thanks for the time this evening to be able to share this information with you. I hope it was valuable. Mr. Drennan, I'm shooting it back to you.
All right, well, great job, Lynnette. And I know Timmer just put in awesome, and here come the chats. And that was absolutely awesome. And thanks so much. You know, Lynnette just covered so much ground there in about 20 to 25 minutes. And a lot of people haven't thought about showing up as a game plan, but it really is a game plan. And, you know, it's whether it's a game plan for team showing up, market showing up, corporate showing up. And that was a great job of laying that out. And one thing Lynnette said that I want to highlight is she has seen her income go up while her expenses have gone down. And think about this, you know, what's the difference between earning $200 or not spending $200 that you were going to spend? And the answer is, you know, they're the same. So when you can not spend $200 that maybe you normally would have, and you earn an extra $200, you just doubled that. And that's a great point. My wife and I were talking about that recently, how we are just not spending the money we used to when it comes to, I mean, I was doing a lot of driving, a lot of events, a lot of flights, and all that stuff, hotels, all that has stayed in our family budget. So that's a big, big deal. So I want to encourage everyone to be impacting your income as it goes up while keeping the expenses down. And that's one of the plus sides, if you will, of the virus, is the majority of people just aren't spending as much money. And Legal Shield, of course, there's no limit on the amount of money that can be made. So thank you, Lynnette. That was fabulous. And hey, with that, we got a little bonus here. We've decided with, again, the Zoom, the virtual, coming out of the summer blast, that on training night, we're going to add this bonus. And it's just here for those that want to participate. On Wednesday night, following our live training, we're going to pull up a training video. And we're going to start with Jim Rohn, who most of you are familiar with. He's been a mentor to most of us, and we showed a little clip during the summer blast. So we're going to close out tonight with this video clip from Mr. Jim Rohn. Here we go.
Let me give you 3 steps to start life change that can change your life, your personality, your lifestyle. Everything can change. Here's the steps. Number 1, find out how things work. The first key to doing better is find out. To change your life, really, you need ideas. There isn't anything an idea can't change. And Schultz taught me the major problem is lack of an idea, not a problem. At first, I didn't have any money. I said to Mr. Shope, I don't have any money. He said, that's not a problem. Now, see, up until then, I always thought it was. Right? I was confused. He said, no, the problem is lack of an idea on how to create money and wealth. It isn't lack of money, it's lack of ideas. So if you get the ideas, so you can change anything. Now, to get ideas, you need a constant study of finding out. Now, Shope also said, when you find out something that works, put the information in your journal. Don't use your head for a filing cabinet. Put it in your journal so that you can do the next best thing. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Go over it. And if you repeat it, go over it, sure enough, someday, some mysterious day, the idea takes root, starts to grow, and shows up in your bank account, and your dress, and your personality, and your lifestyle. But capture the ideas in your journal. Find out how things work. Shope gave me this word for my life change. He said, study. Great word. If you wish to be successful, study success. If you wish to be happy, study happiness. If you wish to be wealthy, study wealth. Don't leave it to chance. Make it a study. Some people just go through the day with their fingers crossed. See, that won't do it. You've got to study the things that can change your economic, social, spiritual, personal life. Now, here's a qualifying phrase, and we'll have several of these qualifying phrases throughout the seminar. Here's the first one. You may not be able to do all you find out. I understand that. You may not be able to do all you find out, but you should find out all you can do. See, you don't want to wind up at the end of your life and discover that you've lived only 1/10 of it. And the other 9/10 went down the drain. Not for lack of opportunity, for lack of information. So that's number one, find out how things work. Now here's the best human virtue for finding out, curiosity. Make a note of that. Curiosity. Be curious. You might add a word to it that'll help. Childish curiosity. What will kids do if they want to know something bad enough? Bug you, that's the phrase. They can ask 1,000 questions. You think they're through? They got another 1,000. They'll drive you to the brink. It's a virtue. When you gotta know, be like a child. In fact, Jesus, the master teacher, said, unless you can become like little children, you might as well forget it. You don't have a prayer. Excellent advice. You gotta be like children. 4 ways, in my opinion, to be like a child. Number 1 is curiosity. Number 2 is excitement. Get excited like a child over your ability to make yourself do anything for change. 3rd is faith. Have faith like a child. Adults are too skeptical. And 4th is trust. Trust is a childish virtue, but the rewards are incredible. Now here's the 2nd step to personal development. Okay, number 1 was find out how things work. Here's number 2, go to work. You must now take action on what you found out. In doing business around the world, we call it game plan. Put together your game plan. One of the major things we teach on the weekend seminars, game plans. How to game plan your office. If you're in sales, you need a game plan. Kids need a game plan. You need a home game plan, social game plan, a business game plan. Everybody needs game plans. Financial independence game plan. Your investment game plan. Don't think in your head. Put it on paper. Don't operate out of your mind. Operate from paper. I often ask somebody, what are you going to do the next 6 months? And somebody starts to tell me. I say, no, don't tell me. Show me. Show me your game plan for the next 6 months. Then I can look at things and maybe I can help. But you got to operate from paper. Put it on a game plan. Take action on what you found out. Now here's the best word I know of to go with action. Massive. See, that'll change everything. Massive action is called the cure-all. If you're going to make calls, make a few thousand. If you're going to make contacts, make a few thousand. If you're going to knock on doors, knock on a few thousand. See, that'll change everything. Here's the language of the poor. I'll try it a time or two and see what happens. It's the way poor people talk. The guy says, well, I'll give it 30 days. 30 days? You could guess his bank balance. You've got to have a better game plan. So here's one of the major things to do starting tomorrow. Take a look at your game plan. If it isn't loaded with massive action, change it. Tomorrow. Action. The formula really works like this. Pick up a good idea, take heavy action. Pick up a couple of good ideas, take heavy action. That's the formula for success. Heavy action. It's a good thing we can edit all this, right? The formula for success, take heavy action on a good idea, right? That's the ratio. Now here's the key. Don't wait till you've learned 2,000 or 3,000 things, because that way you'll use up all the time. And you could wind up smart and broke. And hey, it's okay to be dumb and broke. But if a guy's smart and broke, that's pitiful. Don't let your learning lead to knowledge. You'll become a fool. Let your learning lead to action. You can become wealthy. And there's many kinds of wealth. I understand that. Not just money. Money's one of the least of all values. I know some people with a lot of money that are very poor. Evita sings, as for fortune and as for fame, they are illusions. They're not the solutions they promise to be. So there's all kinds of wealth, but to get a big share coming your way, you've got to have a heavy action game plan. Now here's the third step to personal development, and we'll wrap up personal development. Step number 3 is just a little caution, and all through life we need little cautions. This one simply says, don't try to beat the system. Find out how it works, work it, but don't try to beat it. Some people learn just enough to start slicing it, shading it, thinning it, cutting corners, and looking for cheap answers. See, don't fall for that. You'll wind up with a cheap life. Find out how it works best and do it that way. Even though it seems to take a little longer, do it right. Don't compromise with right. Now, under this step, here's another key. Be a quick learner. Don't let it take long to teach you. Learn quicker. One guy said he broke his nose 7 times in the same place. Somebody says, looks like you'd stay out of that place. Learn quicker. Now, the third point here is don't be stubborn. See, some people won't change even when a better way comes. They say, well, I've been doing it this way 30 years. Hey, be ready for change. If it's a better way, go for it. But don't try to beat it. Or you'll be like the guy that went to Las Vegas. He didn't have much money, so he didn't want to risk his money gambling. But he gets to Las Vegas and the jackpot bells are ringing, the money's flowing, the lights are flashing, and he can't help himself. He's got to gamble. But instead of gambling with his cash, he decides to play the mental gambling game. And the brilliant scheme he worked out goes like this. He'd pick a number like number 3. Mentally, he would bet a certain amount of money on the number. And whether it won or lost, he would jot down that amount in his little pad. I would have won $5 if I'd have made that bet. Just to keep track of it, win or lose. That way, come midnight, he can calculate how he's doing, winner, loser, how much, only not his money. Keep his money. Just play this mental gambling game. So here he is around the gambling table, everybody else shelling out their hard-earned cash. He's got this brilliant scheme. Instead of betting with his money, he's betting with his mind, and he lost his mind. Which means don't try to beat the system, I guess.